Melodyne is a paid licensed program that lets you edit a vocal file in a very realistic way. The basic essential version of Melodyne is about $100, and it's great for making minor changes to bring vocal notes to perfect pitch each time. There's two ways that you can access Melodyne on a Sobriety Sounds computer. You can open it as a standalone program, meaning you're using it without having to open your recording DAW. To open the program that way, just double-click on the Melodyne application from the lower right corner of the desktop. The second way is to use it as a plugin, meaning you would open it from within your recording DAW like Mixcraft, Cakewalk, or Ableton. Most of the time, it's easier to open Melodyne directly from within your DAW, especially if the vocals were recorded in your DAW. In this video, we're going to be using Melodyne from within Mixcraft 9 Pro Studio. Using Melodyne this way means that you can edit your vocal file without having to import the vocal file from another location. Fortunately, we've already created a project file with some vocals that need editing. Let's get to work. We want to open up a specific project file, which for our upcoming pop-up events will be located in the pop-up folder on the desktop. So go to the desktop, open up the pop-up folder, double-click on Challenges, followed by Fix Vocals Challenge. Now double-click on the Mixcraft project called Fix the Vocals in this project. Wait for Mixcraft to fully load. Press the home button on the keyboard to bring our marker to the very beginning of the project. So the first thing we're going to do is go to File, Save As. We're going to save this in the desktop into the folder called Mixcraft Projects. And the reason why we're doing this is because the next person that sits at the station will want to start from scratch with the challenge just like you got to. So save the project under whatever file name that you want. You can call it whatever you'd like. And then once everything's saved as a new project file, we can get to it. Keep in mind that I created this for y'all so that you can get experience with editing vocals, and I recorded it in one single pass, so I know that it's off key, but that's kind of the point, so don't hurt my feelings. We have 3 different vocal files to work with. Track 2 we can ignore because that's our instrumental. Track 3 is the rap that the intro, verse 1 and verse 2 consist of. Track 4 has the hooks of the song, otherwise known as the chorus. And track 5 is backup vocals for the last hook. I'm going to use my marker by clicking at the very top of my timeline at different parts and pressing the spacebar to play it, just to hear what we have going on. Yeah, this definitely needs some adjustment. Let's start with the hooks. What I'm going to do is right-click on the audio file that I want to edit and select Edit in External Editor. We're going to be asked if we want to edit the actual audio file or create a copy of the sound. I've been burned way too many times, so I'm going to choose Edit a Copy of the Sound so that I can always have a backup of the original audio. Once we're done, Mixcraft will automatically replace the original audio file with the copy that's created during this process. But if you want to know where the copy of the audio is going to be located on the computer, you could click Browse to view that. I don't have a need to know right now, so I'm going to click Edit. Give it a little time to load up. If you have an internet connection, you can view Melodyne tutorials through this window, but I'm going to click Close. Let's expand the Melodyne window by clicking the square in the upper right corner. To skip right to where the vocal notes start, click at the bottom where the waveform begins. So the basic editing tools we can find at the top left, we have the main tool, which allows you to select individual notes or multiple notes. The pitch tool has a few different functions. When using the pitch tool, you might want to access it by right-clicking inside your workspace and hovering over the pitch tool. You'll see more than one option. There's the regular pitch tool, which basically does the same thing as the note selector by allowing you to move a note up and down. But then you'll also have a pitch modulation tool and a pitch drift tool. The term pitch modulation refers to rapid and usually intentional variations in pitch, such as trills or vibrato. The pitch drift is Melodyne's term for slow fluctuations in pitch, usually the kind that are unintentional and symptomatic of poor technique. The Formant tool allows you to adjust the timbre of a sound. This can be useful when making large changes in pitch. For example, if you're taking a note that was performed lower in a singer's range and shifting the pitch up, hold down your click on the note and move it up to hear how it sounds. You can move it down as well. The amplitude tool increases the volume of a note. To do that, you hold your click down on the note and move your cursor up or down. The timing tool I rarely, if ever, use. Any timing changes that I need to make, I'll do straight from Mixcraft by cutting up my audio file. If you want to use it, it allows you to extend or shorten a note. Then you have a note separator tool. When this is selected, you can double-click where you want to split a note and it'll cut the note in half. You can then move those parts of the note wherever you want. There's also a detector tool, but I don't personally use that. Melodyne says that it analyzes audio material to find the notes that it contains and offers those notes to you for editing, but we're definitely not going over that in this video. I'm going to refer to this upper bar here as our timeline. We have to click on the timeline to adjust where our marker is. Press the spacebar to play. If by chance you get a message saying DirectX is not recommended, click Open Preferences and change the audio device dropdown to ASIO for all. Then X out of the Preferences window. Now we're really about to get into it. I suggest that we work a section at a time. I'm going to show you my real-world process. At the top left, click Algorithm and confirm that Melodic Mode is selected. I see the check mark there, so that's good. Now click Edit at the top left, go down to Pitch Grid, and select No Snap. You may want to have the snap enabled later on, but vocals are very nuanced and I want the most control over what I'm doing. Hold down your click and drag it over the first group of notes. Release the click when you're done. Let's go to the top right, we'll select Correct Pitch. We're going to move this new window to the side so that we can see behind it. Move the Correct Pitch center line all the way to the right. We can see the notes we selected are tightening up to the nearest closest note. Click OK. Now let's hear what these notes sound like. Click at the top of the timeline right before the first note and press the spacebar. Yeah, that cleaned up really nicely, but there was one note that I still don't really like. To zoom in on the notes, hold down the Control button on your keyboard and scroll your mouse wheel up. This note here, where I'm saying the word as, I want that to be more defined. Click on the pitch tool at the top left. Now hover the cursor right over the edge of the end of this bottom note. Sometimes you won't be given the option to do this, but if it allows you, the cursor should change to a little X. Hold down your click and move your cursor up to tweak the dynamic relationship between where these two notes meet. This is a good tool for when two notes are really close to each other but on different pitches. It can either smooth out that transition or articulate it more. To get a better idea of the difference between the pitch drift tool and the pitch modulation tool, let's take it to the extreme. We're going to right-click inside of our workspace and hover over the pitch tool and then select modulation. Now let's click on any note and move it all the way up or all the way down to hear what it does. You can then do the same thing with the pitch drift tool we recently used. To get there, go about it the same way, right-click inside your workspace, hover over the pitch tool, and select pitch drift. I want this note to have more of an articulated transition, so I'm going to split the note. I'm going to grab the note separator tool at the top left, and then I'm going to double click right after the note begins to split it. To move the note after you split it, click on the pointer icon at the top left. Now I'm going to move it. I'm going to play it. And that works for me. Let's work on the next set of notes. So I'm going to move down the line by clicking on the waveform at the bottom where I want to edit. So I'm going to click right at the top of my timeline just before that first note starts and press the space bar on my keyboard to hear how this group of notes sound. Yeah, we definitely need to get those on pitch. So let's go ahead and we're going to select all the notes in that group. Then at the very top right, we're going to go to correct pitch. I'm going to move this window over just so we can see what's going on, but let's move the correct pitch center all the way to the right. Now we can see our notes are moving to the nearest note. Let's click OK when we're finished. And now let's play it back to hear how it sounds. I mean, maybe I was a little closer than I thought to being on pitch because there's really nothing else that I want to do with this group of notes. Keep doing this section by section, make changes as you see fit. Like for example, this note here is definitely not on the right note, so I'm just going to drag it where it sounds best. Right there is good. When you're done making changes, you'll go to File, Save, then click Save again. It's going to ask you if you want to replace. You can click yes. Now let it save what you did. Once it's done processing, you can click the X at the top right of Melodyne to close it out. Then you're going to click Done. Mixcraft will then replace the vocal file with the one that we just created. When you play back, you should now hear the updated vocals.